Hello everyone, hope you're doing alright. Today we're talking about the Focus Guardian. Focus Guardian, massive single target burst spec right now. It's a boatload of fun to play, so let's jump right into it. Before we get started, brief disclaimer as usual. I'm not an expert, I'm just a nerd that plays a lot of SWTOR, so if you have any recommendations, leave them down in the comments below. Help out your fellow players, hopefully it will be useful to them. Alright, let's get into it. For your tertiary stats, you're going to want to have that 110% accuracy in PvE and then like 105% accuracy in PvP. We do a lot of white damage in this spec, so we need that little bit of extra accuracy. For your alacrity, we want to have like 7.2% alacrity. That should compensate for most of your lag issues. And then just dump the rest in a crit because we're going to do a boatload of crits in this spec. For our tactical, wow, I can't think of the word. Tactical, we're going to take cauterized coronary. It's going to cause our concentrated slice to give a bleed to the target and do a boatload of damage. So, free damage, we love to see it. We take it every single time. For our legendaries, we're going to take the Felix Victor package. Felix Victor is going to give us 10% extra melee damage pretty much the entire time we're in combat. So, we do a lot of melee damage. This is very helpful to us. We're also going to take Champion's Precision package. Champion's Precision is going to give us an extra 20% crit every time we use our combat focus, which we do very often. So, free crits, it's awesome. We love to see it. For our combat style, this is what I personally take. Zenith is pretty much mandatory. It gives you 20% extra crit every time you use your focus burst, which is pretty fantastic. The next row is kind of dealer's choice here. You can take Cyclone Slash if you want to, or in PvP if you want to use a Blade Barrage route. But personally, I just take Blade Burst because it's free extra damage and I don't want to deal with another ability, so that's just me. Moving the line here, I take Zealous Defense. You can take Zealous Discovery if you want to. You don't have to, though. It doesn't fit in our rotation. So I personally take the Zealous Defense for the extra bit of Absorb Shield. Focus Meditation is mandatory for us. It's going to give us a lot of extra focus throughout our rotation. Additionally, every time we use our combat focus, the abilities don't go on cooldown whenever we hit them, which is going to be really, really important. It's going to do a lot of damage for us. So Focus Meditation is mandatory. Moving the line here, I take Unyielding Justice because you don't have a lot of range, but you can take Battlefield Command if you're like in PvP. But personally, I just like the extra range for your Force Storm, but that's just personally me. Moving the line here, Stalwart Defense is mandatory in PvE. It's going to reduce our AoE damage taken every time we use our AoE threat drop. You can take War Master or Second Wind in PvP. They're kind of meh utilities, so pick which one you think looks cooler. Moving the line here, Saber Reflect I like in PvP, but in PvE, Blade Blitz is just more useful, so pick whatever one you want to see. You could also use Awe in PvP if you want to, so, you know, this one's kind of dealer choice. I won't be mad at you no matter what you take. In PvP, I personally take Gather Strength here. Gather Strength will give you a lot of extra damage every time you get rooted, and there's a lot of roots in the game right now, so it's free extra damage, which we love to see. But there's not a lot of roots in PvE, so Through Peace is nice, I guess. That's what you can run in PvE. You can run either one. This is just what I run personally for me. All right. Focus Guardian is a builder spender spec. And what that means is that we're going to slowly build these little yellow bubbles beneath our health bar here and using lower damaging abilities, and then we're going to spend those little bubbles on high damaging abilities. So the goal of the game is to be balancing how much of this focus that we have and then spending that focus in a rather efficient but high damaging manner. We have a lot of interactions and we have a lot of ways to generate this focus. So let's go through the focus generators first. The first is going to be our Force Leap. Force Leap closes the distance to the target. It jumps to it, especially as a melee class. This one's kind of important, so make sure you know what it is. It would also generate 3 focus, which is very nice. Additionally, we have one more ranged ability here called Saber Throw. Saber Throw does a decent amount of damage and generates 3 focus as well. It's a little bit of extra range, which is, you know, nice to generate focus. It's not too terrible. Additionally, we have our Sundering Strike. Sundering Strike will generate 7 focus. So if you see here, we have only 1 focus right now. Boop. Basically, our entire focus bar is back up to full, which we love to see. It does a moderate amount of damage, and it sunders the target, which means that the target will take about like 3% more damage. So, you know, we take it. 20% armor reduction is very nice. We also have our Combat Focus. Combat Focus immediately will generate 6 focus. The tooltip is messed up. It would immediately generate 6 focus, and then will slowly increase focus over time. So you can see here, if I hit it first, it's going to immediately generate 6 focus, and then over the next 6 seconds, it will generate more focus. Additionally, this is the window where your abilities won't go on cooldown. So if you see here, if I hit my combat focus, I can just spam concentrated slice over and over and over again without it going on cooldown until that little window is over. Keep that in mind, we'll be using it later. There is one last way to generate focus, and that's by using strike. Strike's a sad ability. If you hit strike, I'll be judging you from a distance. All right, just know that. You can do it if things go really, really wrong. Just know that I'll be sad, and I'll know. All right, I'm glad we covered that together. Those are our focus generators. Wow, I'm all over the place. Those are our focus generators. Now let's talk about the way to spend that focus. We have a lot of interactions in this spec. We're going to walk through them one by one. The first thing you need to know is that anytime you leap to the target, your focus burst and your force sweep will begin to glow. This is because with every leap, we get free crits on our sweep and our focus burst. So for example, if we use our force leap, these two abilities are glowing. That means that they're going to auto crit. We have a second leap though in the form of Zealous Leap. Zealous Leap actually consumes 2 focus, but it does a lot more damage and it gives us free crits. So let's demonstrate. Zealous Leap, leap to the target, it evaded, leap to the target, free crits of focus burst. We love to see it. The goal of our rotation is to be cycling using these leaps and their free crits and then executing those crits accordingly. Additionally, we have some more interactions here. So we already discussed the leap, auto crit. Every time you use our force exhaustion, your focus burst and or your force sweep will not consume any focus. No focus whatsoever. So what you can do is, so we have this our free crits up. If you have your force exhaustion up, you can cast a focus burst that will cost no focus and be a free crit, which is a lot of damage. Guaranteed crits are phenomenal. Additionally, when you use your focus burst, you will have an increased crit chance by 20% for the next 6 seconds, which is pretty nice. Additionally, focus burst gives you an extra 5% damage, which is really nice for a short window, which is free damage. We love to see it. Additionally, every time you leap to a target, you're going to notice that your Blade Storm is going to start to glow. This is because now Blade Storm is going to do more damage. It's going to start generating focus, like this. Boop, huzzah. Oh, it's going to evade. Huzzah, it generated focus, did more damage. Amazing. Additionally, every time you use your concentrated slice, the damage of your next focus burst is going to be increased, and you can use your repulsive. There's a lot of things happening here, but don't worry. You really don't know, you don't have to know pretty much all of them. Just assume that every time you hit a button, you're getting a buff, and that's all you have to know. The only important interaction that you need to understand from this guide is that every time you leap, your focus burst and your force sweep will crit. And every time you use your force exhaustion, you can use focus burst and force sweep for free. Those other little buffs, they're nice. We'll be stacking them throughout our rotation. You don't have to memorize them. It's all right if you don't know it. Not a lot of people do. It's fun. Just worry about leaping and then force exhaustion to get those free auto crit bursts. So let's talk about our rotation. Our rotation is split into 3 sections. The first section is the major bonk. The second section is the minor bonk. And the third section is just hitting glowing buttons. So let's talk about the major bonk first. In the major bonk, we will start off by leaping to the target and then begin by using force exhaustion into focus burst, and then immediately click on your combat focus and use 3 concentrated slices in a row. So what we're doing here is by using the leap just to start combat, we'll get the free auto crits. We are making our focus burst consume no focus, which is very nice. It's going to crit and then give us a bunch of extra bonus damage. And then we're going to get our combat focus to get a whole bunch of focus up at once. And additionally, when we use our combat focus, thanks to our legendary, we're going to get an extra 20% crit. So we're going to be at like 80% crit. We're going to crit on a whole bunch of these concentrated slices. So again, that's force leap to start combat, force exhaustion, focus burst, combat focus, and then 3 slices in a row. It's going to look like this. Leap in, force exhaustion, focus burst, combat focus, slice, slice, slice. And you're going to notice up here, just by doing that little opening rotation, we did like 250,000 damage. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. But things get better from here. Because following this opening major burst, which we'll walk through one more time, So the major bonk is leap in, force exhaustion, focus burst, combat focus, slice, slice, slice. We're going to follow this up with a minor bonk. Now the minor bonk doesn't do as much damage. It's a little bit sadder, but it's still a fair chunk of change. It's going to look like using Zealous Leap into Sundering Strike, then Focus Burst, Concentrated Slice. So what we're doing here is that we are building the focus that we'll need to run through the rest of the rotation without running into problems. All right? So it's going to go Zealous Leap, Sundering Strike, Focus Burst, Concentrated Slice. Now the advantage that we're going to have here is that by only slicing 3 times while we have combat focus up, we're going to have Zealous Leap not actually go on to cooldown, which is going to be very nice for us. So here's how that's all going to run together. So remember, major bonk, minor bonk. Let's run through it together right now. So we leap in, force exhaustion, focus burst, combat focus, slice, 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 minor focus, leap, Sundering Strike, Focus Burst, Slice. It's a lot of damage happening very quickly. But you're going to notice we have these 2 glowing abilities in Reposit and Blade Storm. So we're going to wrap up the rotation by guaranteeing our next auto crit by using Zealous Leap and then just hitting those glowing buttons. Now the glowing buttons have unglowed themselves for a hot second here, so we're going to glow them real quick. So it's going to look like Zealous Leap, Blade Storm, Reposit. And that's the final part of the rotation. We're guaranteeing the crit. We are using our glowing Blade Storm. We're using our glowing Reposit. I mean, you're good to go. I'm positive I'm pronouncing this wrong, and there's going to be some fencing nerds in here saying, you're saying it's riposte. I don't care. That's my response to you. I don't care. I'm going to call it RIP from now on, just to bother you. We also have our dispatch button, which is only usable when target's at under 30% health. And so what this means is that we're going to actually replace our rip with our dispatch when we reach this part in the rotation. That's all that happens here. Just throw in dispatch for your rip whenever you are in that section of the rotation. So let's run through the whole rotation really quick. We'll apply this. So remember, major bonk, jump in, force exhaustion, burst, slice, slice, slice. Minor bonk, jump in, build the rest of that focus for the rest of the rotation, and then use our auto crit slice. And then jump again, use your glowing buttons, and repeat. So here's how it's going to look from the beginning. Jump in, major bonk, burst, slice, 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 minor bonk, jump, sunder, burst, slice, jump, and hit the glowing buttons. Repeat, force exhaustion, burst, combat focus, slice, 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 jump, build that focus, burst, slice. Now we're going to jump and hit them glowing buttons, and just repeat that over and over and over again until your heart's content. The goal of knowing a rotation here is that way you don't have to think anymore about what buttons you're hitting. If you can go into any rotation and say, okay, I don't have to think about my rotation at all, I just can jump in, start hitting buttons, and not really be thinking about it, that's where you want to get to, so that way you can focus on doing like mechanics or doing actual PvP instead of sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, what comes next? What comes next? Oh, I think it's a minor bonk. It's a minor bonk, right? If you're sitting here thinking about what ability comes next, you're gonna fall behind. So the goal is to sit down at the dummy and do this over and over and over again until your fingers bleed, so that way you don't have to think about what comes next. Your fingers just kind of automatically do it. That's my hope for you anyways, at least. So you can see here we're going to start to reach the point where we are sub 30% health, so we're going to replace the glowing buttons part of the rotation with dispatch for our rip, which is going to be just that little extra damage, but it doesn't ruin our focus, which is just very, very nice. So that's all this spec is. It's pretty straightforward. It does great burst damage. We love to see it. I don't know what else to tell you. It's a fantastic spec. Love to see it. So again, major bonk, combat focus, slice, 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 minor bonk, jump, build that focus, burst, slice. It does a boatload of damage here. Very fun spec to play. 10 out of 10 would recommend for anyone who is either somehow bored of cut to pieces or just wants to try something different. Let's talk very briefly about our defensive cooldowns. Sacred Ward gives us a 50% defense chance, which is okay. It also gives us 25% absorption for yellow damage, which is okay. We also have our Ignore here. Ignore here will temporarily increase your hit points by 30% for 10 seconds, but do be warned, once the 10 seconds is over, so is health. So if you're sitting at like 20% health and it ends, you're going to drop to 1 health bar or 1 health point. So, be careful if you can avoid it. We also have our Heal to Full and our Focus Defense, which can be either a 2-minute like right now or a 1-minute 30 cooldown. What this does is that every time you are attacked when Focus Defense is up, you will heal for 26k up to 12 times. It's basically Heal to Full every minute and a half. It's very, very nice. We love to see it. If you are in PvP, smash your taunt buttons as often as possible. Your taunt and your challenging call for your AoE taunt. If you're in PvE, don't taunt unless the tank tells you to, otherwise you are throwing. Let's briefly talk about AoE damage real quick. We're going to take advantage of the fact that combat focus means that we don't, our abilities don't go on cooldown, so we can do something ridiculous like, say, jump in, combat focus, and then just force sweep, force sweep, force sweep, force sweep, force sweep. That's a fair bit of damage very quickly. So if you are leveling right now and you want to say, hey, I just want to murder things really quickly, just get to level 43 and just keep focus meditation, because combat focus will go off a cooldown every time you get to exit combat. So if you are like running around and killing a bunch of regular mobs, you can just do that over and over and over again. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to smash through those low levels. That's really all I need to know about AoE. It's fun. If you want to do sustained AoE, just replace burst with sweep in our rotation, but that's sad. It's much more fun to just spam combat focus and force sweep. I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say about that. If you have any questions about Focus Guardian, let me know. Just, major bonk, minor bonk, hit the glowing buttons, repeat until the boss is dead. I think that's all I got. Hit the subscribe button if you want to. I don't know. Like the video. Have a good day. Or have a bad day if you're feeling down. But, it's okay to not be okay. I don't know. I don't have a smooth transition for this. Goodbye.